This video is going to be about how to prepare doxycycline, an antibiotic, for a doxycycline infusion through a portacath. Before you start anything, you want to make sure you have all your supplies. I have a fluids container right here, which will work for the doxycycline to go through. I have alcohol wipes. This is the doxycycline, and I will show you how to mix that. I have 2 saline syringes and 1 syringe of heparin. And I also have my pole because I'm going to need that to infuse. If you don't have a pole, you can hang your doxycycline bag onto a clothes hanger and then hang it up onto something high up, like a vent, and be creative. Before I do anything, I want to sanitize my hands with Purell to make sure my hands are sterile. And then I'm using my elbow to push it out of the way. And we're going to start by mixing the doxycycline. It has the information on the cover on the front of the bag, so it'll tell you how fast to go. What you're first going to do is squeeze some of the saline into this bottom. This bottom piece holds the doxycycline. It can't be mixed. You have to mix it yourself, is what I'm saying. It can't come pre-mixed because the medication isn't stable to stay that way for a long time. So what I'm first going to do is I'm going to click this little piece, which makes the saline able to go into the bottle. Now it's ready to go, and I'm going to fill this up with about 3 squeezes, so it only gets filled about halfway. You don't want to fill the whole container all the way up with saline. So now it's about halfway, and I'm just going to, you don't want to shake it, but I'm going to kind of swirl it, and I'm going to look at it, and I'm going to turn on some extra light over here. Wow, that's bright. And it mixes in pretty fast. I can put a little more saline in there actually. Just making sure there's no extra residue at the bottom, because you don't want a big clump of the doxycycline in the bag or going into you. That would not be good. Alright, so this is good. So now we're going to do the opposite. We're going to flip it over, and we have to squeeze the bag first. Go this way, and then it's going to release the medication here that is mixed with some saline back into the bag, and then it's all going to mix with this saline. So I squeeze and then I release, and there's a slight yellow tint to it, and it takes a little while. You see some bubbles go up. And it is coming back into the bag. It takes longer for it to come back into the bag than it does for it to go into the bottle. I'm not quite sure why, but that's how it is. And I'm just flipping it. See if I got everything in there, and I do. So now this is our slightly yellow doxy. It's very, very faint, but it is not completely clear. I'm going to lay that back down. Notice I didn't touch this little cap here. That needs to stay on until we're ready to infuse. The next thing I have to do after preparing the doxycycline is to prepare my line right here. And I lowered my pole as far down as it could go, and I will hire it, and I have my trash bag nearby so the fluid can go right into the garbage. This is the clamp. It either starts whatever fluid is in here to go, or it stops it from going. So I want to make sure it is clamped so everything won't run out of it. And now I need to hang this up onto my little pole, and I need to adjust the camera. I'm going to hang this right up here. And then I'm going to pull this blue cap straight down. I'm going to pull this straight off, and I'm not going to touch it at all because this needs to be sterile. And I'm going to hold on to this part, go like this, and I'm going to be doing a twisting motion. So I have it up here, I'm going to twist it back and forth. So now it is completely on, and the fluid is not running because I have the clamp closed. Now we need to get all the air out of this line. I'm keeping the cap on. The fluid will still come out, but it keeps the end of the line from getting dirty, and it remains sterile that way. So now I'm going to first go like this. I want this filled just about halfway, this chamber, right like that, so you can still see the drops coming down from the top. Now I'm going to unclamp the roller clamp by pushing it up. The fluid's going to come down pretty fast, and once it goes into the garbage, it means it has gone all the way through the line, and then it's ready to connect up to me soon. So here it comes. Going, 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 going. You want to make sure you get any air bubbles that are in there. You keep going until they're gone. Alright, now it's good, so I'm going to clamp it because I don't want all the medicine in the trash can. I want all the medicine in me as much as we can. Oh, one more bubble. Oh my gosh, there are a bunch. The little ones aren't bad, you just don't want big clumps of bubbles of air. Alright, clamped. Good. And now this blue cap is still on, and it just went right into the garbage, so that made that very easy. Now the doxycycline is ready to go, but it's not ready to be infused yet because I have a few more things to do myself. Before I start infusing my doxy, I need to do a saline flush to flush out my port. So I'm going to hand sanitizer again, and what I do with my port to keep the line from hanging around like this. Some people just stick it in their shirt, some people, I don't know what people do. I put a band-aid there and hook it through the band-aid. So I need to take this piece off. This just keeps it clean, more clean from the environment when not in use, but it's not a substitute at all from using the alcohol wipes. So know that the caps are not a substitute for the wipes. And you scrub it really nice. Make sure you really get the top of the cap, and then you don't touch it because then you're contaminating it. And now open this. Saline, it's just salt water. Screw it on. I'm going to unclamp this black clamp right here. Boom, like that. And I'm going to flush it. Now notice there's a little bit of air at the top. You can kind of see. You don't want to push the air into the port. You could take the air out first by just squirting a little of the saline out, but instead I just don't push all the way. So you'll see I push, and right when the air comes to the bottom, I stop, and I just don't push the air in. So right there. Now I'm gonna unscrew and toss that away. Now I'm ready, putting more hand sanitizer on to connect to the doxy. Another good point for anyone that's using a port, doesn't matter what you're using it for, chemotherapy, antibiotics, any kind of medicine, I would really recommend or suggest wearing V-neck or loose shirts, because then I can access and use the port so much easier. If I had a shirt that was like this, it would be a lot more difficult. So this is just like a big t-shirt that I have, so it makes things way easier. Now that I'm going to connect to this part of the doxy, I have to yet again alcohol wipe this side, the blue cap, because it was just hanging down and touching my clothes, which is okay, but you have to re-clean it. And now I'm going to take off this blue cap. Sometimes this squirts out a little. I'm not touching either end because I want to remain sterile, and I'm going to twist this on. Now my prescription for doxycycline is at 100. 100 milligrams over 100 milliliters is what it says. So that means you set your little timer thing, milliliters per hour, right to 100. So that's pretty easy. You just match up what it says on your bag to the flow rate on here. And it's still clamped, so it's not going to do anything. But first, we need to rise this thing up. Now it's getting out of view. Now that I have the doxy, the chamber filled, and I'm all the way connected right here from my line, I am going to open up the blue clamp, and drop should start. If you ever feel itchy, nauseous, shaky, or start to get a rash anytime during any infusion, you should stop it immediately and follow the emergency procedure provided. Now what I do is turn off my light. I'm going to make this a little bit higher, but I roll it over to my bed because I'm showing this in real life. Yeah, let's make this a little higher. Alright. So that's about where we are. It's probably just high enough to hit my chandelier. And doxy takes just about a little bit over an hour for the time that I'm going, because I'm going at 100. The lower the number is, the slower it is. The higher the number it is, the faster it runs. That'll take just about over an hour, and I'm gonna sit in my bed and watch Hallmark Christmas specials. I was just about to start my Hallmark movie, but I actually have to go to the bathroom. So I'm gonna show you my little trick. Is I don't wheel this whole thing in the bathroom. I'm going to hold it up like this. First I'm gonna pull it down quickly, and then grab it back up. See, that's perfectly fine. And now I look like the Statue of Liberty. And whoops, I almost swung from the chandelier. From the chandelier. I'm walking with it above my head. And now I'm opening my door to go to the bathroom. So what I do when I have to go to the bathroom is just hang it right here on the back of the door where you would hang like a bathrobe or something. And then I go to the bathroom and it hangs there and it's perfectly fine. And then I put it back on my pole when I get back in my room. You do want to keep an eye on your infusion. Make sure you can see it. Make sure you can see the drops going. Make sure there aren't any huge bubbles going in. And just keep track of it. I was just looking up and fixing it, so I could see it better from my bed. You don't want it to run completely dry, and that means for all the fluid to go all the way through, because then there's a bunch of air behind it. So you just want to keep an eye on it. So if you're going to fall asleep, which I didn't for Doxy, but I do for IVIG infusions because they give you Benadryl, it makes you really tired. It's good to have someone around, set an alarm clock, do something, because you just don't want it waiting so long after. There are a few more steps to do after the Doxy has gone into you. So you just want to know that you're on an IV and not forget that it's running. So the Doxy has just finished. I let it go all the way out of the chamber, but right here there is still a little fluid, so it did not run dry. I'm going to disconnect now. I've got my garbage ready right here because there's a tiny bit of extra fluid that's probably going to squirt out. Actually not. And I'm going to clamp this, which I actually already did, which is good. And I'm just taking the Doxy off of the line. Throw it in the trash. Now there's only like 2 things left to do. I'm going to start by sanitizing my hands, grabbing another alcohol wipe, and I'm going to put saline in because we want to flush it nice and clean so there's no extra Doxy. Doxy is kind of the nickname for doxycycline residue hanging out in the port. Being very careful by how you do that, and again watching to make sure you don't have air going in. And then clamping your black clamp is very important. They're not all black though, but mine is black. So go all the way, no air. You can just toss these out. Now I need one more alcohol thing. Perfect, I have just the right amount. And now I'm putting in heparin. Heparin is a blood thinner and it sits in the port, cleans it out, prevents your blood from clotting from any of the medications. Some are thick, some are not, and it's just a good thing to reduce the chances of blood clots, which are rare. And you can see I just scrubbed this blue cap for a long time, and I'm going to do the same thing that I did with the saline. Push it down until I see the air and then stop. Now I'm all done. I'm going to move this clamp up and I'm going to hook this through my Band-Aid. Like that, to how far I want it to hang. And then I clamp. Always make sure you have the clamp shut so nothing can get in. And then remember, I have this little orange cap that can screw right on. And now I'm ready until I do this the next time. And that's how you do IV doxycycline.